Welcome to the Film and Cinematography Podcast. What's up guys, I'm Alex and welcome to a new episode of the Filmmaking and Cinematography Podcast. So in this episode, let's talk about a really important aspect in my opinion of cinematography, and this is visual storytelling. So there are a bunch of visual storytelling techniques that can help you reach what you want to tell with your film, that can help you really transmit those emotions to the viewer. But what are some examples? Well, now I want to tell you some examples that I like to use really often in my films, and if you watch them on YouTube or whatever you want, or on some other sites that are published, you can see these techniques in action. So the first one of my personal favorites is the progress bar technique. This is a really interesting way to show that something is going to happen. So how you film it? Well, take out your dolly, your slider, or even a gimbal, or you can even do it handheld, no problem. And you have just a simple pushing on the character. In the meanwhile, what I like my talent to do while I'm filming him is to wiggle his head around, watch, look around, and really show the process of thinking, because this is what this technique is about. It shows that the character needs to think about something, needs to think about his actions in such a way that he's going to apply those in some case or another. So an example for this I like to say from my previous short film, The Two Faces of a Man, is when the talent gets some bad news, he struggles. He has some sort of struggle. So he looks around. He thinks about what he should do. And there is the part where the progress bar starts. The pushing starts. And we come closer and closer and closer to the character. But then we put him inside the frame. The frame is closer and closer to him. So this means that he doesn't have too much free space around him. This is shown by the composition. I like to put the talent in the middle of the frame and the side and have a lot of free space around him. But then the empty space becomes less and less prominent, and we can see just the talent in some medium close-up shot. And there is the place where the pushing ends. That is the end of the progress bar. And what happens at the end of any progress bar? The progress is done. You need to take action. So just like a progress bar, the talent must to take action at the end. So after that, what I usually like to add is a small bump at the end. So just move the camera back to show that the progress is ended and he really came to an end. And another thing I really like to add is that the character leaves the shot. So, for example, in a film, a character can get some bad news, then a progress bar technique is applied, and at the end of that progress bar, now he needs to take action. So he goes and does the action he has just thought about. Another cool technique I like to use in my films is the Dutch angle. So the Dutch angle is a slighted shot. You need to put your camera on a tripod and just slam the camera to the side. The same thing can go with a gimbal. I can position the gimbal on the lock mode and then tilt the roll axis to have a Dutch angle. It's that easy. But what visual story does this Dutch angle show? So what I like to use it for, the Dutch angle really tells the story of something being weird, of a weirdness. If we look at an image, even if it's not a film, just looking at the empty space around us, we see everything is straight. But now if we have a Dutch angle, everything is slanted to a side. This means that something is weird, something is not alright. And this can have a really intense impact on the viewer. If something goes wrong, then you can just add a tilted shot, a Dutch angle on a static shot while the character does something. Also, an interesting way to use this shot is to have two characters. You can add a Dutch angle. One character should be, for example, sitting and the other one standing. To show this, to empower a character more than the other, you can just place one character more above the other. This can be also done with a Dutch angle. One character should sit at the low part of the shot and the other one at the high part of the shot, so creating a difference between them, showing more power of the character who is sitting. And also, because the shot is tilted, it also shows that something is weird, something is wrong. With the Dutch angle, you can show the state between characters, but there is another way that you can do this, and this is through lighting, and more precisely by shooting a character more in the light and the other one less. An example for this is when using stage lighting. I can shoot one character with upstage lighting in a dark room, so lighting up just a part, maybe a quarter of his face, and filming from the dark side, so mostly a silhouette. The other character can be filmed on the other side from the downstage lighting setup, so having 3/4 of his face lit up and only 1/4 in shadow, so the exact opposite. This makes a character feel a good character and the less lit up character a bad character. This can be shot also in the same room, one character filmed brighter and the other one darker, but also in two different sets when probably they have a phone call together. If you put the two images next to each other, one of them can be filmed using upstage lighting and the other one with downstage lighting, so showing a pretty interesting a pretty interesting state between the two characters. Also, color contrast can help you a lot to tell the visual storytelling, the visual story between these two characters. And this is with warm and cold lighting. A good character can be represented with warmer lighting, a natural light, while a dark character can be shown with some darker light, and also with some bluish tone, a colder color, greenish bluish tone, that can all contribute to that bad feeling, the bad character that he is. Again, with this state of the character, but also for many other things when it comes to visual storytelling, can camera movement or the camera angle really contribute to that visual story. So let's take some example. The first one I like to show it in all of my courses, in all of my videos, is the high and low angle technique. So if you shoot one character with on a high angle, you make the viewer more prominent, more powerful, so making the character look less powerful, have less power. He doesn't have the situation in control, he is weak. But doing the opposite and having a low angle, this makes the viewer be under the state of the character. So this means that the character looks much more powerful to the viewer. And by combining this, you can show the state between the two characters. One character can be filmed with a low angle, showing he has power, has control over the action. On the other side, the other character should be filmed on a high angle, showing that he is not so powerful, he is weak. And by putting these shots together, you show that one character is more stronger, more powerful than the other one. By adding also camera movement to this scene, you can really settle this effect. The character who's been filmed from a low angle, who's confident, can be shot on a tripod, so having a static shot, or just some slight and smooth movement, showing that he has control over the action. He is sturdy, he doesn't have to fear of anything, he is in control of everything. On the other side, the other character who's filmed from a low angle, everything should be opposite. So we need to add movement. Some handheld movement can really settle this effect by showing that he is not in control. The viewer feels his emotion, he feels his jitter a bit, and this makes him not so powerful. Again, a big part of having this state between the two characters. But in any case, there are hundreds of ways you can tell a visual story. There are hundreds of thousands of techniques, and there is not really a way how to apply them. You apply them when you feel that you need them. When I do the shot list for my productions, I often firstly think about, even before writing the screenplay, I think about some shots. I think about the visual story that I can apply in those shots, and only then I write the screenplay. So the exact opposite a screenwriter would do. But this is my way. Every filmmaker should develop their own way of creating a visual story. The way I learned it is the following. Firstly, I understood how to apply the rules of camera movement. So some basic examples for this is that a static shot can show perfectly, can show that everything is alright, perfectness, and so on. A smooth moving shot shows shows somehow the same. It adds just a bit of movement. But a shaky shot can show fear, can show stress, can show some other bad emotions, but also it can show an immense happiness that happens to the character. Also, the rules that I just told you with the character states between the angles, the high, low angle, Dutch angle, some top-down rules. There are really a lot of rules. It can be just there would need 10 episodes of this podcast just to cover them. But the thing that it comes is you will learn these techniques with practice. So you will not succeed in the world of visual story just by creating one film and that's it. You really need to practice. And you can create a movie, try some rules of visual storytelling, then you can do another one, and so on. Again, the trick I just said is, if you're also the screenwriter, you can think firstly about the shots and then about the screenplay. This is how I do each of my films. And this is the episode for today, guys. Thank you so much for listening and hope to see you next time.